This series is documenting the Milky Way over historic sites that tell the story of civilization. I'm visiting 12 sites across Kansas, 12 of the most interesting, historic, and beautiful places that you may never have heard of. And it's from these vantage points that I'm going to share glimpses into the heart of our galaxy, the galactic core of the Milky Way. And Kansas is the perfect setting to witness the celestial. It offers these broad prairies and very little pollution in the atmosphere. Many of the rural places are great opportunities to enjoy without interruption. The lands carved out by the curious pilgrims and pioneers throughout the ages. Its frigid winters, hot summers were not an invitation to the faint of heart, but its rewards are spectacular. So be honest with me. When you hear someone say they want to speak about faith, what's your first response? It seems like we're either put off by it or we're excited by it. And there's really no in between. Faith is one of those topics that is very emotional. Maybe that's why we don't talk about faith or politics at family reunions and during holidays. But that's the topic of today's video. How faith shaped life here on the prairie. Their laws and their education was really underpinned by their faith. We've arrived at another site, another example of faith on the prairie. This is Stevens Chapel. It's the oldest existing church structure in Rawlins County, located in the northwest corner of Kansas. Its construction was completed in 1892. It was built from the surrounding sandstone and limestone quarries that were cut into these blocks. This was a poor area, and the locals made sorghum molasses and sold them to raise money to buy the materials to build this church. By 1962, the parish had dwindled and discontinued regular worship here. Eventually, the deed was given to the local historical society, and now it's operated by the museum. The museum needs support to maintain this icon of Kansas history. Okay, as I get ready for the night here, I'm going to tell you what I plan to do. One is I'm going to do a time lapse with the sunset, and I'm lined up, my camera's over here, and the sun looks like it's going to come down just on the northwest corner of the chapel. So I think that'll be a beautiful way of capturing the sunset. After the sun goes down and the stars come out, I want to do a night lapse with the stars coming over the top of the chapel. And I'm going to see if I need to illuminate the chapel. If I do, I've got two lights, and I'm going to set them up off in the distance to the sides to sort of cross-light the front of the chapel to give it a little bit of light, illumination, and then I'll have the stars as they move across the top of it. And then the third and final thing I hope to do, and that'll be about 4:30, 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, is I'm going to go to the north side over by where I have my tent set up, and I'm going to take the Milky Way. It's supposed to be clear tonight. Still has some scattered clouds out here. I hope they're going to blow away and it does clear up. If it does, then the Milky Way should be coming right over the top of the chapel, sort of arching off from the southeast toward the east. Do you ever feel small, maybe insignificant? You know, when I get out under all of these stars, I realize just how small I am. But I don't feel insignificant. I'm part of this, all of this creation. And actually it makes me feel more connected, because out here
Even in the midst of all of these stars, I realize that for one thing, I'm blessed. I'm blessed just to be out here, to be able to recognize it and to see it.
Well, it seems like we always have some technical difficulties, and this is no exception. Wanted to do a time lapse with the chapel in the foreground and the stars moving across the top. But for some reason, the intervalometer in my camera isn't working. It'll take about 6 shots and then it shuts down. So what I did was I went to a plan B, and I put lights up on each side, way out, probably, I don't know, 100 yards on each side, and then when I took the photo of the chapel for the foreground, this is what I got. And then I did the same thing with the sky. Turned the lights off, brought them back to the car, raised the camera up to take a photo of the sky above the steeple, stitched it into a panorama. This was the photo. Well, you can't always trust the weather report. I looked at the weather after taking a nap before coming out here, and it said that it was mostly cloudy. Well, the stars are out, and the Milky Way is amazing. And I'm going to take and put some lights in the far windows of the chapel so that they will shine into the chapel. I have my ISO at 3200. White balance is 3800. Shutter speed 8 seconds. And I'm going to focus mainly on the from the back corner to the front of the chapel. I'm going to raise it one panel, just one panel, 1/3 overlap, to get the stars of the Milky Way above the steeple of the chapel. I think that's going to be a great shot. So let's check it out and see what happens. Okay, I feel like I rambled on a little bit on that, but I wanted to let you see what came out. I did the panorama with, again, I did a panorama of 6 shots actually for a foreground. Had my lights out, cross-lit the front of the chapel, and then I raised it and I did 7 photos across with a 1/3 overlap to get the stars and the Milky Way that's right now coming up over the steeple of the chapel. And then I raised it up again and did a 1/3 overlap, and then I did 7 photos across the sky, and this is what I got.
Faith can be really polarizing, but the fact is that we all have faith in something. We may have faith in ourselves, we may have faith in government, or we may have faith in God. And we look to those things to give us some foundation in our lives, some stability, some predictability of what may come in the future. It's part of our human nature. And then one of the big arguments about faith in spiritual faith, faith in God, is that, well, if He is perfect and He is in control, then why do we have pain and hardship? It's a good question. Here's what sustains my faith, is that while I do believe that there is a perfect God who created all of this, I also believe that we aren't perfect. We're a mess. Our own God-given ability to make decisions also creates our problems. And rather than taking ownership of it, I have a tendency that I want to blame someone else. even if I'm going to blame God. We look around us and we see the destructive character of our flaws. Let's go to a historic site that shows us that part of our flawed character. Well, our adventure brings us here, to this little village in the very southeast corner of the state. Here in what's now the center of Baxter Springs was Fort Blair, also known as Fort Baxter. It was established in May of 1863 by Major General Blount, who in civilian life was a physician. He established this fort, really more of an outpost here in this southeastern corner of Kansas. Established in May of 1863, and then in October of 1863, William Cantrell and his marauders came through. Some called it a massacre. More than 100 Union soldiers were killed in this battle. This was one of those dark parts of American history where brother against brother, state against state. It was part of the American Civil War. And we need to remember these times too, not to hide them, not to tear them down, but to remember that our freedom has come at a great cost. This fort really wasn't very well designed. It had breastworks, been replicated here, that surrounded the perimeter of the fort. And then in front of the breastworks were rifle pits dug so that soldiers could stand and fire over the breastworks. This is interesting here that the west wall of the breastworks had been removed the day before the attack to enlarge the encampment, make room for 100 additional cavalry troops which had arrived under the command of Lieutenant Pond. In the center of the fort was a blockhouse. This is a replica of the blockhouse that stood there. It was used as sort of a supply center, and then after the battle, it was also used as an infirmary to care for the wounded. The same stars that we look at here tonight were the same stars that those soldiers looked up at when they lived in their tents in this area. It's 4 o'clock in the morning, and right now the clouds are here, but the weather says, the forecast says the clouds are going to be clearing right about now. Looks like some of the stars are coming out. And so I want to explain to you the composition and how I'm going to do this shot. Well, in front of me is an old cabin. It was originally a trading post. The soldiers, they were in tents and they were all out in the field like I showed you earlier. Here's this little log cabin, so I'm going to use it. There's a flagpole here beside it, and it has a period flag, colors on it, and what I hope to do is take a shot with this cabin in the foreground. And I'm going to raise the camera up to get the Milky Way that should be coming from the top of the cabin over the flag and then off from the south toward the southeast. This isn't going to be a panorama. What I plan to do is take those 10 to 15 photos and stack them on top of one another. It's a way of reducing the noise. When you're shooting at night with high ISO and low light, the sensor will pick up random noise. It tries to figure out what it thinks it's seeing, and it sort of adds these little specks into it. And the idea is you take a lot of photos, you stack them on top of each other, and that random noise that's generated by the sensor will be canceled out in these layers of photos. Let's see if it works. So I moved the camera over to the left about 5 feet because it looks like the sky isn't going to clear until 5 o'clock. That's actually will be a nicer shot. I went ahead and took another photo of the cabin as sort of a foreground, and I put light on it. So I took it at a shutter speed of 1/80th of a second. And that could freeze the flag as it's flying. And now I'm going to take, and I lifted it up so that I have a 1/3 overlap between the bottom shot and the top shot, and I'll take 15 photos of the sky to get the Milky Way, and then I'll stack those photos in order to reduce the noise in the image. It's looking good. I'm optimistic. Let's see if it clears up. I hope it does. Having some coffee, just had a breakfast bar, really wait until 5 o'clock. And the sky is clearing up nicely. I'm excited about this. The only challenge that I have is I'm right here in town, and as you can see, there's a lot of light from the area, from the surrounding houses and stuff. There's just a lot of light out here. So what I am doing is I have a light filter on this camera lens, and that should take out, you know, some of the artificial light, or at least maybe try to neutralize it a little bit. We'll see. I haven't used this one before, so again, each side is a new learning experience for me, and that's one of the things I enjoy about this.
And with the dawning of a new day, we end the episode as we looked at faith and conflict here on the prairie. Next time, we'll turn to look at agriculture. And as it moves into the industrial age and beyond. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, stay on the path, and God bless you.